What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NFL Showdown pre-lock show on RotoGrinders for Monday Night Football. I'm going to break it down for you. Got a barn burner tonight. Green Bay, Philly. Playoff positioning at stake here. This is a big one. This is a fun one. So this whole experience here is based on you guys asking questions. So fire off those questions in chat. This week, Monday Night Football, we got a Green Bay game. So gosh, to have the Green Bay expert in here, Beer Maker, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. This game scares the you know what out of me. So I'm gonna lay that out right off the bat. So, unfortunately, I think Philadelphia wins this game. If we're just talking, we always start with that. So, Cheesehead Nation is out there. I see you. We love you. Philadelphia is the better team here, Chop. So I'm not going to come on here and be a homer and, try to set that aside. I hope my team wins the game, but I really think Philadelphia is the much better team. I think their defense is in a pretty good spot tonight. More playmakers. Green Bay dealing with a lot of injuries. Good to see Zach Tom in on the offensive line. That certainly helps. But, yeah, all in all, I think this is a Philadelphia win.
Well, as a Cowboys fan, pains me to say this because Eagles fan base got some real scumbags in it and all that good stuff. But
I've
as
heard.
a Cowboys fan, I have to say, I think the Eagles stink. I'm rooting for the Packers here. I'm going Packers all the way.
All right.
I think what would scare me here is Philly coming off of some extended rest and game planning and getting a chance here. But I think the Packers, more than anything else last week, got upset because they were looking ahead. They were looking ahead at this game. So I think maybe they kind of refocus here and get back into it. Now, the problem is going to be, and we're going to talk about it from a DFS perspective, but you're missing some valuable pass catchers tonight.
Yep.
And that's going to come back to haunt you at some point, maybe tonight. Jordan Love needs his weapons, and he's down a couple of them tonight. So just general thoughts here. Green Bay, Philly, low total here. I mean, for the NFL these days, you get anywhere around the 43 range, and it's pretty low. Tight spread. Got any leans on that?
Like I said, a lean Philly, and this line is, I'm seeing it as a pick 'em already in some places. So it's really trending towards Philadelphia right now. So I haven't looked at the latest split, so I'll check that out. But I lean Philadelphia, unfortunately. I hate to say it, but you got to bet with your head, not your heart here. So that's the way it goes. As far as the total goes, I do think we get some offense here. These are two very capable defenses, but also two defenses that at times have not looked very good. So, yeah, it looks like all the bets and the money are on Philadelphia, so about 75% there. And there is a nice edge on the over, 56% of the tickets, 77% of the money. So a decent split there. So I'd say Philly and over. I'm not going to bet it because I want to cheer for my team. If I'm betting anything, it would be the over, and then obviously a bunch of player props.
Yeah, okay. I'm kind of – let me see here. Yeah, I mean, that was a rough one last week against Carolina. There's things about Jordan Love that sometimes he looks like, oh, man, yeah, he can be the next great one. And sometimes, too often, he looks like
he scares me, not going to lie.
He's a scary character.
Think about, and even your Dallas Cowboys, how many throws off his back foot all the time, and he just lobs them up. And how many times has he gotten lucky that Tucker Kraft is there, and who we didn't even mention is another, big loss here tonight. Christian Watson is there, and they just land in their arms, and he's been so lucky. So does he have the potential to be great? Absolutely. Does he frustrate the hell out of you? Yes, because there's so many throws off that back foot that some are necessary. You got to get rid of the ball on a third and long, a fourth down, whatever. But he makes those throws too regularly to really feel good about him here. And you want some narrative?
Uh-oh. I want
Think about who was the biggest proponent against
the push
in the offseason.
Okay.
Was the Green Bay Packers, and who else? Micah Parsons. So Philadelphia, little extra fuel on the fire that they're gonna want to run this play. They already run it, a ton. There's so many advantages in the Philadelphia category. Again, I hope Green Bay wins as a fan, but looking at this game, it just sides with Philadelphia for me.
I'm kind of leaning towards the under here. I feel like the whole Jordan Love I was just kind of speaking on. Not sure how good he is. So maybe, and without his wide receivers and tight end tonight, maybe he struggles a little. I think they're just better when they can run the ball, even when it's Jalen Hurts running and chewing up that clock until. So I feel like maybe the under here, and so we'll see how it plays out. But Jeffrey says, Chop, don't believe the hype. Philly fans aren't all a-holes. Probably not. There's probably but I've met a couple, and man, they're in that upper tier of a-hole, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
And I've heard that, and I haven't even met any, and they rank up. I've heard Ohio State in college, and I've heard Philadelphia. So, Jeffrey, I'm sure you're a fantastic guy, but your fan base has a bad rep out there.
If you're hanging out here, you're probably okay people, Jeffrey, but your brethren, your Eagles brethren. Let's see. I have something. Oh, I think the Eagles shut down Josh Jacobs. I kind of do too.
Yeah,
I kind of do too. But I'll tell you this much, Beer. Man, I was an idiot, man. I had Josh Jacobs in season long. Had him. Traded him and Drake London away for Justin Jefferson about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I was going to try to get ahead of the curve, and I wanted an A-list wide receiver, and I didn't think Drake was going to be that, and that was just a bad move on my part, man. So I got to deal with those consequences now. But 37 minutes till this thing locks, and we'll be out of here probably a little before that, depending on you guys. If you have any questions, fire them off in chat. We'll keep track of them, answer everything at some point in the show. And otherwise, we're going to go through some players and see if we can't get you something going on here for helping building some lineups right before this thing locks up. So let's talk about quarterbacks here. Beer, we've got two interesting players here. Hurts gets a lot of criticism. He wins. That's what he does. He wins. Sometimes he puts up big numbers. He puts up big numbers when he gets those rushing stats. The passing leaves a little bit to be desired. Your Packers are coming into town with this will be the first time they get to face him with Micah Parsons. Micah's been, I don't want to go overboard. He's kind of been like a thorn in Philly side in that division for a while. So maybe that's why they went out and got him, was for games like this. And he's one of those guys that actually can beat Lane Johnson. Like, Lane is so good, but Micah's giving him fits in his career. So, Jalen Hurts on one side, Jordan on one side looks good sometimes. Other times he looks bad. He's inconsistent. What do you make of these two quarterbacks tonight on this DFS team?
I much prefer Jalen Hurts. And the beauty of Jalen Hurts, he can get there in so many different ways. So you can build lineups where – you can attach A.J. Brown. You can attach Devontae Smith. You can build them with Hurts and Barkley in there. And, maybe they dominate on the ground. I even like the lineups, Chopper. You don't have to have anybody with Jalen Hurts. Maybe he just carries the mail and he gets it done on his own and a couple tush pushes. He throws for a couple, but none of Barkley, Brown, Smith have massive games, and then that leads into Jordan Love is playable for me when you're captaining say a Saquon Barkley or, something like that, where he's got to play more from behind. I think that's the script that you want Jordan Love, because if Green Bay has their druthers, they want to run the ball. Now, Philadelphia's numbers against the run look bad, but we forget Jalen Carter has missed a pretty significant amount of time, and he is an absolute game wrecker. So are they going to find success on the ground? I don't know. I'm not as high on Jacobs as some of the projections are here. And if you're going to use Jordan Love, it is in that Philly's just absolutely dominating. They're forced to throw. Now he throws for 300 yards and connects with some of these value receivers. But if I'm captaining one, it's easily Hurts. There are Jordan Love captain lineups that make sense, but it's Hurts by a wide gap for me tonight. Plus that narrative. They're gonna score a tush push touchdown. If I'm certain about anything tonight, that is one thing I'm certain about.
It's very interesting. It happens, man. It just happens. They always get down inside the 5 for some reason, and they can't. I'm always sitting in front of my computer or in front of the TV on Sundays going, Just give it to Saquon. He's gonna get so mad one day, man, that he doesn't. But he doesn't because he's not a selfish player. But yeah, man, feed the guy, man. He gets you down there so much. Give Saquon a little love every once in a while. DKGPPs, how much E. Wilson do you have with Dylan out? How much do you like? We're going to cover running backs in a minute, but Wilson with Dylan out, what's your love factor for him?
Well, you're putting Dylan back on the Packers, Chop. So Wilson.
That's the question. That's the question. That's how the question came in.
So, Dylan, obviously the Eagles not viable, but Wilson, to me, it seems like he's going to be overowned. There's not a ton of sexy value on this slate, where people are going to want to jam in Hurts and Love and Barkley and Brown. It gets expensive out there. So I think Wilson's going to be the main salary saver for a lot of people. And in a game like this, I know they want to keep Josh Jacobs fresh. I just think he gets the majority of the work. So Wilson will certainly have a role that they've shown he's going to get a good amount of snaps, but I think he's going to be way too popular here. So I'm not saying fade him. If the lineup works, you like it, I'm going to be significantly under the field. In fact, I don't think I have much of any of Emmanuel Wilson tonight.
Maybe he's talking about Corey Dillon being out. Maybe Corey Dillon's out in his eyes. I don't know, man. Who knows how Brian's thinking over there. Our guy, Carolina guy, is in the chat. He's a FanDuel guy, man. He loves him some FanDuel. Always wants to know, two-parter, favorite DK GPP MVP, large field MVP, and then in that same large field, do you have a low-owned flex on FanDuel that jumps out to you?
Yeah, I got a couple flyers. You think about the Eagles and who is Quinyon Mitchell going to spend a lot of time on? And I think that's a big question to answer here. And I think it'll ultimately be a lot of Romeo Doubs, who I'm seeing a lot of excitement out there for. So I really like Christian Watson, who is the big play guy in this offense. No Matthew Golden. So I think he's a very viable captain. And if you want to go super cheap, I think Savion Williams is really, really intriguing on this slate. He's a guy they've already started to design gadget plays for, especially when they get close to the goal line. They love to get this guy involved in the run, in the pass game. With the injuries, it seems that a lot of people want to go to Dontavian Wicks. I think this could be the emergency arrival of Savion Williams as a weapon in this offense. So kind of off the board, big play guys that thinks roles will get increased. And getting away from Emmanuel Wilson, those are two names that stand out. And I got to say hi to my boy Dean here in the chat. So hello, Dean. Have a good evening, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Dean. Shout out to Dean joining us in chat after working his butt off on that NBA show. He comes and hangs out with us. Can the Eagles win the NFC East back-to-back? It'll be the first time somebody's won the NFC East back-to-back in quite a while, Beer. So they're in the driver's seat. I'll give them the credit for that. They're in the driver's seat. Here's what I'll say, though, Beer. Here's what I'll say. I like the trade deadline. I like what we did. Got to get some stops on defense. If you're the Cowboys, I like the trade deadline. Got to get some stops on defense. Cowboys have a tough schedule. Eagles have a tougher schedule. They play about the same teams, except for Philly has like an extra game in Buffalo that the Cowboys don't have. So they get a few weeks, they square off in Dallas. That'll tell you everything. Like if Dallas pulls that win out, maybe they tighten a little bit of the pressure up and maybe they can make it a thing. If Dallas loses that game, Eagles just walk to this division. So it's going to be fun. I don't mind. I like our trade deadline, man. I like trying to give it a shot here. So
yeah, it's a matter. Can your team go on the road outdoors and win a game? I mean, that's going to be the question for them.
Well, even the bigger question, man, is can we stop receivers from getting 10 yards of separation every single play? Like something's got to. So you got Quinnen Williams in the middle now, and you're gonna have a better line. But Logan Wilson trade deadline, nice. He's a good drop back zone linebacker. You need that in this scheme. If you can't get it done now, send Matt Eberflus his walking papers. He doesn't need to be defensive coordinator anymore. So we got that. What are your thoughts on Christian Watson? Will wants to know.
Big fan, and he's a boom bust kind of play, but his role should grow significantly without Matthew Golden. We're starting to see that, and he did even overtaken Matthew Golden on his return. So Cash games, if you're going that route, there's safer options. Dobbs is probably safer in that sense, but large field stuff, love him. I think he's captain viable. I think he's perfectly in play. Now he may get some Mitchell as well, but we've talked about this a lot, Chop. The cornerback wide receiver matchups are, yes, he's very good. He's not unbeatable. It's not like this guy doesn't allow anything ever. So I'm not putting a ton of stock in that, but to wrap it up, I think Watson has a big time upside ceiling on the slate.
Yeah. Alex, I see your question on A.J. Brown props. We're going to get to some props here in a little bit. Stay tuned for that one. Got back-to-back questions about the same player here, so let's just get into him. And we're getting into running backs now, so I'm going to ask you the question first, then we'll lead into running backs. Tank Bigsby, any love for Tank Bigsby and DK GPPs? And another question about Tank. So I'm going to say this real quick. I do have a friend, a buddy. He's a Philly Eagles guy, man. I mentioned not all Eagles fans are scum. Not all of them. He's an Eagles fan. He's borderline, man. I'm not going to lie to you. He's borderline, and I know him. And so
I think I've heard many stories. I can't remember the name,
but he said he's got this thing now. He's got a new angle on betting, right? He comes up with a new angle every few months. The angle now is to take these weird like props that are long shots, and you know, for some reason there's something there that they might hit. He has a prop tonight. He says, go ahead and just for the money, go ahead and play the Tank Bigsby over 40 or over 50 yards rushing, whatever it is, 40 yards rushing, plus 1,500. He says there's a chance. Like Tank Bigsby, it's a long shot, but I mean, he's hit a couple in basketball that were like, oh man, yeah, you had the right theory right there, and they hit for big amounts. So he's kind of a Tank Bigsby guy tonight. What do you think about Tank?
I mean, I like that bet for sure. I haven't landed on a lot of them in my lineups. There's just some guys down there I like a little bit more. So Saquon's going to dominate the touches. They're going to wrap him in. The beauty of him in that bet is he can make big plays. We've seen it before. So, you know, all it really takes is one. You think about Travion Henderson on Sunday. Had a decent game, but boom, busted at any time, can bust that 80-yarder. I think Tank has that upside. So I get the appeal in DraftKings. I haven't landed on him yet, but certainly understand. And the double pairing of running backs, something I normally love doing. You know, Barkley and Tank. You know, maybe Philadelphia just trucks Green Bay, or the opposite. You know, I besmirched Emmanuel Wilson. It's more of an ownership thing with him, but you know, maybe they run the hell out of the ball, and you have Jacobs and Wilson. Yeah. So it's always something that not a lot of people do, and we're always looking for those little edges on these games.
Yeah. So we got the Tank Bigsby out of the way. You got Saquon as a starter, the bell cow, and on the other side, Jacobs and Wilson going at it. Give me your general thoughts on running backs here.
I much prefer Barkley. You know, he's done well against this Green Bay team. Obviously, a different defense now, so tough to lean too much on history, but just think there's more upside there. Again, Philadelphia's numbers against the run look bad, but I do think Josh Jacobs may have some tough sledding here. Now, good bet for a touchdown, you know, but is that enough? If he gets you, you know, 60-some yards rushing and a touchdown, he doesn't pay off that number. So I'm going to have some. When I use him, it's going to be a captain because he does have the ability to score multiple times, and they love to run the ball. So more so in that sense, you know, and then you're running it back with some Philly pieces, but both are in play. I much prefer Barkley tonight, though.
Yeah, we'll see coming off the bye. Now, as we went into the bye, he was hurt. Yep. So maybe the bye rested him up. Maybe he would have played the next week anyway. But again, going back to the Tank Bigsby thing, you just never know about a starting running back with a soft tissue injury. And who knows? You never know. All right. Wide receivers. Let's talk about some wide receivers and then get to some questions. Like Green Bay is beat up as their pass catchers in general. They're missing a couple of big figures tonight. Talk to me about who you do like on Green Bay, and then break down the very condensed Philadelphia unit.
Yeah, Philly's pretty easy. I mean, the only thing is pricing on them is interesting. So I prefer A.J. Brown over Devontae Smith. Ownership will probably be pretty close between the two, I would think. And, you know, you see them on DraftKings so closely priced together that, you know, maybe that leans to more people playing A.J. Brown over there. FanDuel, you have a pretty big gap between the two. But if I'm picking one, it's AJ. I just think he is the alpha of this passing attack. They're both in play, no doubt. I don't know that I'm going to Jahan Dotson tonight. I haven't landed on any yet. It's so condensed, like you mentioned. So the Green Bay side is where it's interesting. So I think most people are going to go to Romeo Doubs, and I think a lot of people are going to go to Dontavian Wicks. So my preferences are the other two guys. I like Christian Watson, as I mentioned, and I really like Savion Williams, who was getting run when they were at full health, when all the receivers were around outside of Wicks. He was still getting some. He's basically in that kind of Jaden Reed role, the gadgety type role, but maybe he gets a few more routes. Maybe he gets a few more opportunities tonight. So I think those two are super interesting that won't have as much ownership as Dobbs and Wicks. And they all make intriguing captains because you throw one of those guys in your lineup, you can load it up. Just know that that'll be a popular thing to do tonight where somebody can get Hurts, Love, Barkley, Jacobs. So you got to make it a little bit different if you're going to go with any of these cheaper captains tonight. I know that'll probably be an appealing way to go.
Yeah. Man, as far as like that Philly side, I'd have a hard time. I mean, it's a showdown. You can play anybody, but man, if they get the ball to Jahan, if Jahan Dotson gets in the end zone before AJ Brown, AJ's really going to have some issues with that. That's what I think about. Like when I'm thinking about how do you handle these Philly receivers, they got to try to get the ball more to AJ. They can't have another guy show him up. He's just going to lose it one day. He's the anti-Saquon. He does care, and he will show it. And he is kind of a little bit selfish, but yeah, I'm with you, man. And the Green Bay side, the Christian Watson upside is no doubt. Romeo Doubs and some of these other Packers wide receivers, they are the kings, man. They are the face of the Guardian cap in the NFL, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
they wear that thing with pride, man. Good for them, man.
You can always find Romeo on the field if you're looking for him.
Yeah, they don't mind, but that's good. Keep the concussions away. Question for you: DK large field GPP, Jacobs paired with Bigsby, or Dobbs paired with Elliott, the kicker?
I'm going to go Dobbs and Elliott. I think both of these defenses can do enough and get enough stops where we haven't gotten to kickers yet, but I think they're both viable. And neither are kickers you feel great about. I mean, Philadelphia can be aggressive. They go for it on fourth a lot. Elliott's numbers have been okay. Other side, does this guy even have a job? There's talk about that. So, I would go that route. But again, I'm not super high on Bigsby tonight, so that's partial part of it.
All right, so we're getting a lot of activity in chat on tight ends, especially for Green Bay here with Tucker Kraft out and all that good stuff. I haven't updated the ownership recently since this afternoon, but I would imagine like a Luke Musgrave is going to be semi-popular tonight with the void there and how much Jordan Love in this offense like to go to their tight ends. So we got to hit up specifically. Give me your take. You're the Green Bay guy on Luke Musgrave, and then talk to me about the other tight ends in this game. How much interest you have in anybody else?
Here's my take. I think he's going to be overowned tonight. I think a lot of people are looking at this as, well, he was drafted ahead of Tucker Kraft, and he's great. And look what he's done. And he's not Tucker Kraft. I think we've established that. He's a fine young player. I don't think they're going to utilize him as the one-to-one replacement. In fact, I think some of the other tight ends are going to get involved tonight. So a guy like John Fitzpatrick, if you're looking for a tournament dart, is interesting. Now, likely a touchdown or bust, but we've seen that win many a showdown. So I'm going to have a little bit, mostly on lineups. I left a lot of money on the table, or it's a different build. But I think he's one of the most overrated players and over-owned players on tonight's slate. So, again, hope I'm wrong. We need somebody to fill that void, but he is not Tucker Kraft. So I just think he's going to be a little bit over-owned at his price tonight.
That's kind of where I thought too. There's you can plug and play only so much. There's a talent gap there. Tucker Kraft was really good, man.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so A.J. Brown's healthy, Devontae's healthy. Usually that's not a good thing for Dallas. Go there. Goddard. don't even know how to pronounce it anymore. I've been
You
at it for
gotta
so.
you've been rocking Godare for a decade. You got to keep that.
It's usually like a trigger not to play him when everybody else is healthy in that passing game. But he's going to get some ownership tonight, and he's getting a fair enough of projection. And Green Bay, I don't know if you're going to pin things on matchup analysis. Tight ends could have some success against Green Bay. How do you fall on? Where do you fall in the Godare camp?
I don't know that he ends up getting as much ownership as we're seeing. And maybe it is. He lands in that kind of middle range where you pick your couple studs, you got your values, and he's the guy that's left in the middle. So I don't know that anyone's running out to play Dallas Goedert. So that's probably the lineups that he ends up in the most. But if we pinpoint one matchup, it would be tight ends against Green Bay. I have had a lot of success this year. You look at everything else, these teams are good against pretty much everything, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. So you can make that argument for him. So I'm not running out to get him. I'll probably be above the field on him to answer your question. I do like the spot for him, but you do have the concerns. Are they trying to get AJ involved? We know that. They want to get Saquon going. There's a lot of things on their checklist, but game wise, it may dictate this guy's getting open, in certain coverages that Green Bay plays. Schematically, I think he matches up well with this team.
Yeah, keep firing off those questions, guys. You got about 17 minutes till this thing locks. Get them in chat. I'm going to get to them all here in just a minute. And first, we're going to talk about some special teams, guys, and some defensive stuff here. So kickers and defenses, I'm going to lump them all in together. I'll let you have your crack at it in a minute. I will say I do think there is a specific game script build here where kickers and defenses can win this thing for you. Like you got two defenses, two kickers, so maybe 3 out of those 4 on a lineup. I don't know if I'd go all 4, but maybe 3 out of 4. Pick the right combination. With Jalen Hurts just running the ball, the tush push 2 or 3 times and not having to pair him with anybody, like you said, I like that build too. Man, the kickers and defenses I like tonight quite a bit. I think there's a game script for it there, and it's actually my favorite script all together. So I don't know what you think about these guys, though.
No, I love that script because we're going to get a ton of questions on Musgrave, on all these value receivers and running backs, and you like the under. Maybe it is an ugly game, and it is just running backs and defenses and kickers. We've seen many lineups that end up at the top of Showdown in that format. So lumping them all together, my favorite of this group is definitely the Philadelphia defense. They are cheap. We talked about some of the concerns with Jordan Love and trying to force things and make bad throws. It is a pretty big mismatch. Again, Tom in helps this Green Bay offensive line, but Philadelphia's got some boys on that defensive line. I mean, they got some monsters. So I think they're going to find success. Jordan Love against the blitz has not been great. So I think you see a lot of blitzes that can lead to a lot of turnovers. So head and shoulders for me, the best amongst this group is the Philly defense. So kickers, no real stand on which one's better here. I would probably give a slight edge to Elliott, but I'll have some kickers. I'm not as excited tonight about the kickers, but do love the Philadelphia defense tonight.
15 minutes left. We're going to do some plums in a little bit and then talk some props and all kinds of good questions. So got a couple questions in chat for you. Sorry, late. Sorry. We Major is a little bit late. We talked about favorite FanDuel MVP in tournaments over there. Recap your favorite FanDuel MVP for him.
I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I think they're going to go out of their way to get that tush push successful against this Green Bay team. I like taking shots on Christian Watson or even going super cheap with a Savion Williams and really getting different with that.
FanDuel GPP Watson captain with Barkley or Hurts captain with Devontae. FanDuel.
I mean, it's the Hurts captain is
Watson.
Well, the Watson one will be less owned, but
yeah. I mean, I guess how big of a like? Okay, the flagship $9, you're beating 100. You got to beat 100,000 other teams. That's actually it's not terrible, man.
No, I have some Watson captain. I mean, to me in a large field, sure. I'd still want some exposure to Hurts. If you zero it out, or you're using the same plays as everybody else, you want to get a little bit different.
What's your cutoff there? Like, so Hurts with Smith, obviously a lot more chalkier, and because it's safer and that's what you want. So where would you cut it off? Would you cut it off at 5,000 entries? You got to beat out 5,000 teams, 1,000 teams, 10,000. Where would you make that switch from semi-chalky Hurts with Smith, or going like Christian Watson, man, big time upside, but you could also get a 0 in your captain? Like, what level of GPP would you switch that up?
I mean, the largest of fields, I would suggest the Watson thing. There's ways you can captain Hurts. Again, captain Hurts with nobody else, I think is very interesting tonight, where people feel like they have to put AJ, I have to put Smith, I have to put somebody with him. He's one of them unique guys that can spread the ball around. Again, maybe AJ has 52 yards and Smith has 50 and Goddard has 40 and
nobody scores a touchdown.
Right. And he's got, 2 rushing touchdowns and he throws a touchdown to whoever. So I think that's one way that people want to force that. And most times you want some correlation. Like, in most senses, if Hurts has a massive game, yes, Brown, Smith, somebody is a part of it. So it's not to say that those lineups aren't viable. It's looking for ways to get different from what everyone else is doing and captaining him on his own and hoping, like you just said, he gets it done on the ground, some rushing touchdowns, and nobody has a massive game. I think that's one way that you can utilize that. So, but Watson, smaller field, single entry, you can take a shot. Single entry is always fun but it would be more of the large field stuff for that.
Yeah, Watson, on FanDuel, you want those touchdowns, and man, Watson fits that perfectly. Watson is a touchdown scorer, so yeah, I don't mind that. Savion Williams and Jake Elliott, or Wilson, and he says John Wicks, but I'm sure he means Dontavian. So Wilson and Wicks, or Savion and Elliott. I think I know where you're going with this one.
I'm going Savion and Elliott here.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm seeing that's all the questions for now. Fire them up, guys. We got 11 minutes. We're going to talk some props and some plums play of the night here. And if we ain't got no questions, we're going to jump out of there and build some lineups. So I'm going to just, while we got time and people still have an ability to change their lineups if they want beer, I want to do the plums play of the night here. 11 minutes left. Give me your fill it in the plums play of the night for Monday Night Football.
I think you know where I'm going here. So I was going to say Christian Watson, who I do feel really good about tonight, but I'm going Savion Williams. And this could end in a 0. He could do nothing. He could be the odd man out. Wicks is running a ton of routes, but I just love what I've seen when they do get him on the field. They make an effort to get him the ball. And, a very productive college player. This isn't some guy out of the blue. So I think they're going to utilize him a little bit more than we've seen tonight. So, give me my boy Savion Williams, and again, I think you can captain him and just don't rip down the line of you can jam in a bunch of guys, but take a few chances with him. But I really feel good about him tonight.
Yeah, so I will give my plums play of the night now, and I'll start it off by saying there's quite a few guys in the mix here tonight. No, I can't give too super obvious. I do like Saquon. I think it could be a Saquon game. I think he could go, that they choose to run the ball a whole lot tonight and just forgo having to deal with Gary and Parsons and all that pass rush and any of that stuff. A.J. Brown, schematically, probably a pretty solid matchup here, lining up on the outside there against Green Bay. And he's tough and he's a crybaby, and they're going to try to feed him as much as they. And we got some guys missing for Green Bay, so I was leaning Dontavian Wicks, like, this guy's a playmaker, man. Just needs some opportunities. Should get some tonight. But I'm going to bypass all that beer. I'm going off the radar. I hate the bye week because I feel like Philly's going to be a little bit better coming out of the bye week, and they're going to be a little bit more prepared. So I wish this wasn't coming off a bye week because my plums is a Packer. Okay, but with that all being said, fill it in the plums play of the night for Monday Night Football. I'm keeping it homerism here. My boy Michael Parsons. I'm going with the Packers defense.
Okay.
I really do think last week was a look ahead spot against Carolina. I think they're just really juiced up for this Philly matchup. I think they got something in store. I want to see the pass rush. Jalen Hurts, I've seen him enough. Sometimes he does not deal well with the pass rush. Like, he can get out and run, but he can also freeze in the pocket, man. Like, I don't know if you've ever come across like a deer late at night in the
Oh,
headlights.
so I live in the north, man.
So
I see the damn deer all the time.
I've hit plenty of deers. Sometimes they freeze, man.
Yep.
Sometimes they'll freeze right there, and you can't avoid. Jalen Hurts will freeze in the pocket. Maybe that little pass rush got something for him. So I'm going off the radar, guys. GPP large field. The Packers defense does something big tonight. So let's go with that one. All right, let's see here. 8 minutes left. If is Fitzpatrick or Savion Williams last spot punt? Yeah, we like Savion.
Yeah, and I don't mind Fitzpatrick. Again, super large field, won't have a ton of ownership, kind of nice leverage. I mean, Musgrave's going to play the majority of the snaps, but they're going to utilize multiple tight ends. So Williams is the pick, but I do have some Fitzpatrick as well.
All right, real quick before we get into this last segment of stuff right here and get out of here, I do want to mention some promotional stuff. Need to give you the Combo Pro on RG, the first month for $79.99. What an elite value, the Combo Pro, where you get everything into the same package. And it's just like $5 more than if you would pay for the NFL. So you're getting the good value price there. And don't forget about the 3-day promo pass. It's a limited time. Get half off a 3-day NFL pass and access to Lineup HQ, SimLabs, all that for $9.99. 3 days. I've said this before. You got to time this stuff. You time all your subscriptions. Get that sub on Friday. You got all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to use all the tools, make money, maybe pay off the whole thing, and then it cancels out on Monday. And on Monday, you can decide, man, is this worth it? Did this get me where I need to be? And maybe you make so much during the weekend doing it that you've paid off a full sub. I've had that happen too before. So get that 3-day pass, cheap, good stuff, build lineups through the weekend. All right, guys, let's do some fire off. If you got any questions, get them in. But otherwise, I want to ask Beer some questions tonight. Like to do this, man. Prop betting, all that good stuff. It also helps with DFS. I actually look at a lot of player props in college when I'm doing my DFS lineups to see where I'm at in my head compared to the market over there. So we're going to do that for Monday Night Football. Passing plus rushing yards. Pass plus rush. More, Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts?
Jordan Love.
Ooh,
I think they're playing from behind, and he's going to have to throw where Hurts going to get it done on the ground, but I don't see him having to throw for a ton of yards. So that was tough. That one's tough.
All right, Luke Musgrave, your guy. Prop 31.5 on the receiving yards for Luke Musgrave. Very obtainable. What do you think?
Under.
Oh my goodness.
Now that thing opened up at like 20.5. So hopefully if you're on that, you got in early and it really rose up. So, and there's even a middle possibility on that. I just think that the number's too high, and could be wrong. He could come out here and smash. He's not Tucker Kraft. So I'm going to go under there.
Saquon Barkley, 16.5 receiving yards.
Over.
Interesting. Christian Watson, 2.5 receptions tonight.
Over. I think he gets the ball a good amount.
Interesting. Receiving yards. Who has more receiving yards tonight through the air? Devontae Smith or Romeo Doubs?
Devontae.
Oh, you're going against Devontae. You're going against Romeo. I would have thought you would say Romeo.
No, I'm going Devontae.
Okay. AJ Brown. Boy, he needs to be fed, man. 7.5 targets, over or under?
Under.
Oh, you think okay? I see where you got your game script in mind. Who makes more field goals tonight, McManus or Jake Elliott?
Jake Elliott.
Who runs the ball? Who has more flat-out rushing attempts? Who's got the bigger rushing attempt? Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley.
Jacobs.
Fair enough. This is one. I know where you're going with this one, but I wanted to throw it because the ownership in DFS stands out to me for Emmanuel Wilson. So 20.5 rushing yards for Emmanuel Wilson tonight, over or under?
I'm going to go under.
Fair enough. All right. You know what? That's good. We wrapped that up. Got all that. We only got about 4 minutes left, guys. I'm not seeing any more fresh questions in chat, so I think that pretty much puts a bow on everything you need right there. Beer gave you basically, if you listen to all that, he gave you the script he likes tonight. I told you the script I like. They're different, but that's what makes DFS good. You pick something and then you build your team around it. That's just what you do. You in showdowns, you find a script you like, make sure it works. You don't worry about optimals and all that other stuff. So, guys, we do appreciate you tuning in and asking the questions. It's been fun. You got 4 minutes to go finalize your lineups before this big time NFC showdown. I'm looking forward to this one. This one has a lot of bite to it, man. This is going to mean something come January and February. So, for Beer, we appreciate him coming on. For TJ behind the scenes doing all the grunt work, I was your host, Chop. We'll be back on Thursday with some more pre-lock show. Until then, good luck in those GPPs, but we are out of here.